This is Jarrod Horak. Welcome to my latest Road to the 2023 Kentucky Derby and Oaks video. I'm going to do a double header in here for the Kentucky Oaks. I'm going to give out my top choice for the Gazelle Stakes, and then for the Kentucky Derby in this video, I'm going to give out my top choice in the Wood Memorial. Both of those races are at Aqueduct on Saturday, April 8th, 2023. And if you're interested in my Triple Crown Series full cards, from Churchill Downs, Pimlico, and Belmont Park, Kentucky Derby Day, Preakness Day, and Belmont Stakes Day. You'll find those full cards later this spring at therunawayrhorse.com on my sales page. I have a list of products that I'm covering for the Triple Crown Series on my sales page right now, so check that out if you're interested. Got a lot to go through in this video, so let's start with the third race at Aqueduct, the Grade 3, $250,000 Gazelle Stakes for 3-year-old fillies, mile and an eighth on the main track. 1:27 p.m. Eastern Time is the post, and Capella is number 1 for trainer Brad Cox. Daughter of Quality Roads, probably the one to catch. She won her first 2 races on all-weather ground at 1 mile, and she went right to the front and won both of those races. And then last time she was third. That was in the Busher Stakes at 1 mile at Aqueduct in the slop. From that inside post in a race with not a lot of speed, I would expect that she's going to go right to the front under Kendrick Carmouche. Gambling Girl is a late runner for Todd Pletcher, and this is a New York-bred daughter of Dialed In. 8 starts, 2 wins, a second and 2/3. She's run 4 times at Aqueduct with a win, a second and a third, and 2 times at this distance with a second and a third. She won a stakes race against New York-bred company at 7 furlongs at Aqueduct. That was last year. And then she's been on the road to the Oaks in the Grade 2 Demoiselle Stakes. She was third, beating a length. Her stablemate Julia Shining won that one. Affirmative Lady was second, and then Gambling Girl was a clear third, rallying from off the pace. The Busanda Stakes, she ended up finishing second behind Occult, and Occult is in this race as well, and she finished in front of Affirmative Lady that day. And then the Grade 3 Honeybee Stakes last time, she caught a wet track there. She was 4th. Wet Paint was the winner in that one, and Wet Paint's been dominating those fillies at Oakland Park this winter right into the spring. So Gambling Girl will try to get involved late under Jose Ortiz. Frosty O'Toole is now trained by Todd Pletcher. This daughter of Frosted was trained by Mike Deeney, and back-to-back wins when they moved this one from all-weather and turf over to the main track. Broke the maiden at Tampa Bay at 1 mile and 40 yards, stalking the pace. Stalked and scored again at that same course and distance on March 8th. Now in the Pletcher barn, I would expect that she's probably going to end up stalking the pace in here in her toughest test yet. Promiseher America is next, and she's number 4, and this is a daughter of American Pharaoh, and she's run 3 times with a win in the second. She was 8th, beaten 20 lengths in her career debut, and then she put Lasix on in her next 2 starts. She was 2nd, beaten 8 lengths in her second start, and then in her last start at Aqueduct, she broke her maiden by 6 lengths. Nice progress going from 8th by 20 to 2nd by 6 to 1st by 6. But she does lose Lasix. She faces much better company in her first start against winners. Occult for trainer Chad Brown. This one is a daughter of Into Mischief, and then they paid $625,000 for her. She has a lot of upside, and in her career debut, she just ran out of ground at 6 furlongs. She was stalking the pace, and she just kind of raced evenly. It's just she's not really a sprinter. She couldn't keep up with those sprint fractions, and she was wide, post 6 in a 7-horse field, and she was 4th, beaten 8 lengths. In her second start, they stretched her out to 1 mile, and that was a 1-turn mile on a good track. Much better effort there. She stalked the pace from 4th, and she won by almost 5 lengths. They made her the favorite in the Busanda Stakes at 1 mile and an eighth, and that was on a good track on January 14th. She stalked from 2nd. She got the first run. She won by more than 3 lengths over Gambling Girl and Affirmative Lady. Affirmative Lady did win the Gulfstream Park Oaks in her next start, and Occult could sit that same trip in here that she sat in her last race. Shidabhuti for trainer Chad Brown, daughter of Practical Joke, rounds out the field, and she's 3 for 3 lifetime, 2 for 2 at Aqueduct. She won her 6 furlong debut, rallying from off the pace, going last to first to win by more than 6 lengths. She was the favorite. She had Lasix. She had Lasix again in her second start, a 1-turn mile. She rallied from 5th place in a 5-horse field to win that one by 2 lengths. And then she didn't get as far back last time in a busher at 1 mile in the mud. She stalked the pace, and she ran down her stablemate there to win nicely. And now she's going to run in this longer race, and we'll see if she can handle the added ground. She'll probably be within hailing distance from that outside post. So looking at the way that this race should be run according to the paper race, Capella sets the pace, Occult chases from second, and then I think Occult does exactly what she did last time. She gets first run, and she's able to hold off some of the decent late runners in this race. So Occult, number 5, my top choice in the Gazelle at Aqueduct. Now we're going to dive into the Wood Memorial. It's going to be the 11th race at Aqueduct, and this is the Grade 2 $750,000 Wood Memorial, mile and an eighth on the main track for 3-year-olds, and the post time is 6:16 p.m. Eastern. Dreamlike for Todd Pletcher is number 1, and this is a maiden. 2 second-place finishes in a 1-turn mile, and then a 2-turn mile in a 16th race. Stalked the pace in both of those races at Gulfstream Park. She was the heavy favorite last time, and she was more than 8 lengths clear of the show finisher. Good effort there, and she's adding blinkers. They paid $975,000 for this son of Gunrunner, and Tappett's the damn sire, and Jose Ortiz got to know this one last time, and he'll ride back. This maiden, I think, could fit in this race. There's not a ton of speed, and I would think that he's going to save ground, probably stalking the pace. Shadow Dragon is a good late runner. This is for trainer Bill Mott. Army Mule is the sire here. They paid $375,000 for this New York bred, and it went rallied from far back, 14 lengths back at the halfway point in his 6-furlong debut against New York bred company to win by 3/4 of a length. Sleepy Hollow Stakes, Arctic Arrogance, who's in this race as well, won that one. And Shadow Dragon ended up finishing 6th in a well-beaten 6th in a 10-horse field. The Holy Bull was his big effort. He was 34-1. I liked him underneath there, and his stablemate Rocket Can won that one, and he fell 3/4 of a length short of pulling off a huge upset there. Then in the Fountain of Youth Stakes last time, he was last early, passed some tired horses. He was 5th, beaten 14 lengths. Forte was the winner. Rocket Can was 2nd. Cyclone Mischief 3rd. Some quality horses that day that he faced. He just needs pace help, and I don't think he's going to get it in here. Knox is next. This one for Safi Joseph Jr. This is a Florida bred, a son of Brethren, and he's run 6 times with a win, a 2nd, and a 3rd. And Jose Gomez will ride here. He won his career debut in the slop at 5 furlongs, but he hasn't won since then. He's dropped his last 5 starts. He was in some Florida Stallion races. He finished 3rd in a stakes race at October 1st of last year at a mile and a 16th. And then in the inaugural stakes at Tampa Bay Downs, he was a well-beaten 6th. And then a Florida-bred race against Allowance Company at 7 furlongs, he didn't do well. And then last time he bounced back in a 7-furlong race to finish 2nd against much inferior company. Probably up against it in here. General Banker, another New York bred. This one's just 1 for 11, but he certainly likes to hit the board. 3 seconds and 3/3. He broke his maiden in a state-bred race at Aqueduct of the New York Stallion Series race, and in that race at 7 furlongs in the mud late last year, he romped from after stalking the pace. And then in his next start in the Kentucky Derby points race, the Jerome, he was 3rd. He was beaten 7 lengths. His next start, the Grade 3 Withers, he was 3rd, beaten 11 lengths. And then in the Grade 3 Gotham, 3rd, beaten 9 lengths. So he's one that he likes to make that late run and hit the board, and maybe he can do that here, but I just don't think it sets up for him. Slip Mahoney, he's an interesting one, and this one is a son of Arrogance. AP Indy is the dam sire. Brad Cox is the trainer, and Dylan Davis will ride this one. And he rode in his first 3 starts. 6.5 furlong debut. He broke slow. He raced wide. He finished 4th. His 2nd career start in the mud. In that race, he ended up battling on the pace, having the lead by a length, and not being able to hold it, 2nd by a neck. But he was defeated by Tappet Trice. And Tappet Trice won the Tampa Bay Derby, and he's in the Bluegrass Stakes. He's a highly regarded Todd Pletcher trainee, and Slip Mahoney was well clear of the rest that day. He got his maiden win in his next start on a fast track in a 1-turn mile on January 21st, where he battled on the pace from the inside post. He won by a head. Crupi, who's in this race, was 2nd, and it was 15 lengths back to the show finisher. And then last time, post 10 in a 14-horse field, that Gotham Stakes in the mud, and in that race, he rallied from 13 lengths to finish 2nd, beaten 7 lengths behind that runaway winner, Ray's Kane. Now, Slip Mahoney did have Lasix in his maiden win, and he didn't have it last time, but he ran well without it 2nd time out as well, so I'm not concerned about that. With that pedigree, Arrogant and AP Indy, I would expect he could handle the distance, and it was good to see him close last time, but I think he wants to be up on the pace, and I think he will be up on the pace in a race without a lot of speed. The next one is Clear the Air. William Walden is the trainer, and Ransom the Moon is the sire. And this horse won his career, he lost his career debut in a dirt sprint, finishing 5th in a 10-horse field. Won his 2nd career start in an all-weather sprint by 5 lengths. And then they stretched him out in his next all-weather start, 4th in a 10-horse field. And then he was mid-pack, 5th, beaten 10 lengths in a 14-horse field in the Gotham. He's one that likes to probably sit in mid-pack. He was a little further back than he's used to last time, but I think he's probably up against it. Arctic Arrogance could be the one to catch for trainer Linda Rice. This is a son of Frosty, and he keeps finishing 2nd in these Kentucky Derby points races. Now, he's one that's run 6 times with 2 wins and 4 seconds. He won his career debut at Saratoga in the mud at 6 furlongs, and then 7 furlongs second time out, New York Bred Company. In a stakes race, he was 2nd. He won the Sleepy Hollow Stakes, a New York bred stakes race, 1 turn mile in his 3rd start. Then that began that string of seconds in Kentucky Derby points races, beginning with the Remsen Stakes in that grade 2. W. Nell outfinished him after he was setting the pace. He missed by a half length, and it was 11 lengths clear of the rest. And then in his next start, the Jerome, he was all over the pace, and he just couldn't get the job done. Again, he fell a half a length short. Lugan Knight was able to get out there. He chased him. He just couldn't run that one down. 7 lengths back to General Banker. The Withers, he set the pace after adding blinkers at a mile and an eighth. Could not go with Hit Show, who's also in this race, and he was 6 lengths clear of General Banker again. So he's taking blinkers off in here. Jose Lezcano sticks with him. He's got good speed. He likes this track. He handles this distance. He just doesn't seem to have that winning spirit. Lord Miles is next for trainer Safi Joseph Jr. This one is a son of Curlin, and he started out like gangbusters, breaking his maiden by more than 5 lengths, and that was at 6 furlongs at Gulfstream in November. The Mucho Macho Man Stakes, he showed plenty of late interest. He was flying late. He missed by 3/4 of a length in that 11-horse field. They added blinkers in the Holy Bull. I liked him in there from that inside post. I thought he would stalk the pace with the blinkers on. He didn't stalk the pace. He was sitting back in 7th in an 8-horse field, and he never got involved. He was beaten 11 lengths. He was 3-1 that day. They took blinkers off in the Tampa Bay Derby. He raced evenly from the inside post, 5th, beaten 5 lengths, 12-horse field. Tapit Trice was very impressive from off the pace there, putting in a big stretch kick. So Lord Miles needs to kick up his game. He just hasn't shown that he can compete in the stakes ranks. Crupi is still a maiden for trainer Todd Pletcher with 6 starts, 2 seconds, and 3/3. He does like Aqueduct, but he just keeps hitting the board in these races. And they did try him in a stakes race last time after Slip Mahoney defeated him in that maiden race at Aqueduct, and it looked like that was a step in the right direction. That was a fast race, but he did have Lasix in that January 21st maiden race, and he didn't have it in the Risen Star, and he just left himself with too much work to do. Slow start, 14-horse field. He was 14th early. He was 20 lengths back. He ended up finishing 7th, beaten 9 lengths. He showed some decent late interest, but again, this race doesn't seem to set up for a closer. Kendrick Carmouche, who rode him in that maiden win, that was his good effort, gets back aboard. But I am concerned that he had Lasix that day, and I just think he needs to break his maiden before competing against this kind of company. Uncle Jake has some ability for trainer Brittany Russell. This is a son of Uncle Mo. His career debut for trainer Bob Baffert. It was a 6-furlong race at Saratoga last year. At Santa Anita last year. Earlier this year. It was January 29th. And in that race, he was 3-1. Go Rocket Ride won that one. Sonoran was 2nd. This one finished 4th in that 6-horse field. Go Rocket Ride ended up finishing 2nd in his next start. And that start came in the San Felipe. And then Go Rocket Ride is going to run in the Santa Anita Derby as well. And then Sonoran was a next out maiden winner. Uncle Jake was a next out maiden winner when he moved to the Brittany Russell barn on March 10th. And he pressed the pace, got to the front, and he won very easily in that race at Laurel Park, a 1-turn mile as the heavy favorite. He's got a lot of upside. They paid $675,000 for him with that good pedigree, and I think that he can at least get forward in this race. Classic Catch is next, and Trevor McCarthy will ride for trainer Todd Pletcher. This one is a son of Classic Empire. Hasn't done much wrong. 4 starts, 2 wins, 2 third-place finishes. 3rd in his career debut at 7 furlongs, rallying from 14 lanes back. Broke his maiden at a mile and an eighth second time out, stalking the pace. Mile and 40 yards at Tampa Bay in his 3rd start. He ended up finishing an okay 3rd in a 4-horse field. And then he came back and he won again at a mile and an eighth at Gulfstream Park last time out. So we know he likes the mile and an eighth distance, 2 for 2. And he has won at this course and distance last fall. And he can stalk the pace, but he's just going to have to run faster. Mr. Swagger for Juan Avila, a McLean's Music colt here with 2 starts and 1 win, and that 1 win was in his career debut, 6.5 furlongs at Aqueduct, stalking the pace and running an okay race there. The clear runner-up was the next out winner, but then in the Gotham Stakes, he was no threat. He did make a middle move, couldn't keep it going. 6th, beaten 11 lengths, 31-1 odds in that 14-horse field. I think he's probably just in too deep here. Finally, Hit Show, number 13. He's accomplished, and he can win this race for trainer Brad Cox. But what kind of trip can he work out from post 13? This is a son of Candy Ride, and Tappet is the dam sire. And he romped in his career debut at Keeneland at 7 furlongs, sitting in mid-pack and bursting away. And he was the favorite there. And then an optional claiming race, second time out over a route of ground, 4th in a 9-horse field. But then he has back-to-back wins. He added Lasix in an optional claiming route at Oakland Park late last year. He romped there by more than 3 lengths. He was the favorite. He was the favorite again in the Withers. I picked him on top in that race, in that mile in an 8th race at Aqueduct. He sat in mid-pack, and he was saving ground, and then he scooted off the rail, shot on by the competition, and he won by more than 5 lengths. He's not going to sit that kind of trip in here from that tough outside post. So I respect this horse. I just don't know what kind of trip he can get. So I'm going to look at this one from a pace standpoint and a trip standpoint, and I think that the horse that could sit the right trip based on the race shape, where I don't think it's going to be super fast early, and I'm looking for a horse that can set a good early pressing trip within striking distance, within striking range throughout, and that horse is number 5, Slip Mahoney. I know he came from 13th place last time, but that's not going to happen in here. They want to get up close to the pace. In his 2 good efforts at 1 mile at Aqueduct around 1 turn, he was all over the pace in those maiden races, just missing to Tappet Trice by a neck and then beating Crupi by a head, battling on the pace throughout. So I think he gets up on the pace. Dylan Davis was aboard for both of those races, so he knows how to get him up on the pace, and I think that's what he's going to do in here. So I think Slip Mahoney, early pressing type, can get the job done in the Wood Memorial. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this content. We got one more video this week, the Santa Anita Derby video. So until I see you next time, good luck at the races.